Calling the Village of Cross Plains Plan Commission meeting for June 1st, 2026. To order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cree. Here. Commissioner Hillebrand.
Here.
Commissioner Trustee Brocious.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Thusius.
Here.
Trustee Kettlebeater.
Here.
President Langfeld.
Here. Please stand for pledge of allegiance. Whose phone is it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Plan Commission on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the Plan Commission encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue not duly noticed on the agenda. So we will start with in-person first.
Yep. So this is the public hearing, or there's a public hearing later on.
Oh,
So probably anything
apologize.
unrelated to what
okay.
will be discussed in the public
All
hearing.
right. Is there anybody that would like to speak to the public that's not related to the March Stone? I forgot we have one.
I do have an item, TIF money was the public comment item. Was that related to March Stone?
Yes.
Okay, so we will hold that until the public hearing then.
Okay. Anybody on the?
I'm not seeing anyone coming off of mute. I think everyone's here for the
Okay.
March Stone item.
So then we'll move to general business.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 4th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second discussion. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So moved. All right, we'll go to March Stone. We'll do it in 2A and B. We'll start with the public hearing. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
I'll make a motion to go in the public hearing from the Hillside Overlay Ordinance Amendment.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Cree.
Aye.
Commissioner Hillebrand. Trustee Brocious.
Yeah.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Thusius.
Yes.
Trustee Kettlebeater.
Yes.
President Langfeld.
Yes, all right, we are in public hearing. Who is first? We'll do the people.
Yep, I have
Can
a
someone
stack
turn on the mic for that? So we have
of
that.
papers here. So we can start with Sue Schutz. I'm sorry. If you'd come up to the microphone and state your address, and then you have 3 minutes to address the Plan Commission.
I hadn't really heard about this until I started getting on Facebook, so I don't even know where this thing is, this development is going in. Can you tell me where it's gonna be?
Next to the middle school, to the east of the middle school.
Okay, where that new development is going in?
That is, yeah, that's the development we're talking about.
Um. I'm just wondering how much TIF funds is gonna be given to the project,
0.
0 funds.
Mhm.
And what is it gonna start?
It's already started.
Okay. So why are we having a plan commission meeting and having public input if it's already started?
Because phase 1 has started, what this is related to is what they're looking for phase 2.
Okay, and that is gonna go east. From,
It'll go south
um,
from there, from
thank you.
what's being developed right now.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
All right, next I have Jenny Diedring. Please state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Jenny Diedring. My address is 4005 Creekside Way in Cross Plains. And I would like to make a public comment against the proposed changes to the Hillside Overlay Ordinance. My family moved to Cross Plains 17 years ago because of the green space, the country feel, and the excellent schools, all within close proximity to Madison. Our hills, creeks, woodlands, and parks are a major draw for residents and visitors, and they provide essential habitat for wildlife. The Hilltop Conservancies and the Ice Age Trail are treasured by many. We call ourselves the gateway to the Driftless, a region defined by rolling hills and bluffs untouched by the glaciers. I'm deeply concerned that the proposed Marchstone golf course and subdivisions, along with the requested changes to our village codes, threaten some of our community's most precious assets. I urge the Plan Commission and the village board to reject any ordinance changes that would weaken protection for our hillsides and hilltops, our woods, our parks, and our waterways, and preserve these areas for the enjoyment of everyone. The residents of Cross Plains value the outdoors, clean air, and clean water. The people I've spoken with are not opposed to thoughtful, responsible growth, but they did not envision development that would undermine the very qualities that make this community special. The hillside ordinance may seem unusual to those outside our community, but Cross Plains is a unique place. The people who crafted this rule did so with purpose, and the results have clearly benefited our village. Why would we undo something that has served us so well? Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Next, I have Brian Bonte. Please state your name and address.
Brian Bonte at 2710 South Elmwood Circle East. I'm here to learn more. I'm certainly not opposed to building and happy to see the economic activity in the village. But this ordinance has been in place for a very long time. And it's one of the things that's helped to craft the character of the community that we live in. And I don't think that any modifications to it should be taken lightly. Much less for the convenience or the benefit of the property developer so they can make a bit more money. And it's not just a matter of the natural beauty, and I endorse the comments that were just made, but there's real practical considerations here. We live on Brewery Creek. We've seen a tremendous amount of erosion over the couple decades that we've lived here. Our property literally washes away a little bit more every year as the runoff gets higher and higher with each storm. I've had a neighbor had part of his fence wash away. We've had trees topple, tree toppled on my shed. The natural vegetation washes away, and it takes a tremendous amount of effort for us to keep the invasive species at bay when that happens. And I think the most poignant thing for me is that last year, an elderly neighbor across the creek finally had enough and moved out of her house to a place that required less maintenance when a tree during a storm toppled and struck her house, and it was just the last straw for her. So the erosion and the impact that comes with additional development, if not done thoughtfully, does have a real impact on other people in the community. And I want to hear discuss today what the things are that are being done to study that and to mitigate it if that's even possible with this ordinance.
Thank you.
Audrey Rice. Please state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Audrey Rice, 2712 Password Street. I'm speaking tonight as a concerned citizen to the ordinance change. The current phase 2 proposal requires an amendment to the village-wide ordinance because the plan layout does not meet the existing foot buffer, changing long-standing village-wide law, but just to fit a specific project sets a dangerous precedent. If we rewrite this ordinance now, we open the door for future development, so this is a wider impact than just this immediate project. Beyond the visual impact, steep slopes pose proven challenges for stormwater runoff and erosion. Any failure in controlling that mud and sediment goes straight into Black Earth Creek watershed. As many of us unfortunately learned during the historic flood in 2018, that sediment and runoff damages crucial infrastructure and directly threatens anyone living in the town's floodplains. And that does actually include this development as well. So I think that they are a direct impact and should be concerned for that as well. National data shows that this upward trend in these heavy downpours, so meaning the risk for this happening again in our lifetime is very real and increasing. We do, what we do on these hillsides heavily impacts the health of the stream here in town, as well as our downstream neighbors. So communities like Black Earth and Mazo depend on our efforts to keep this healthy. And we have a responsibility to look at the whole watershed when making these types of decisions. Our trout days in particular is a clear reminder of the considerable revenue that tourism relies directly on the health of the Black Earth Creek. New residents that I had the opportunity to speak to at Trout Days, some of them who have moved from Texas or even the West Coast, they told me that they came to Cross Plains our landscape and our conservation. So preserving this topography isn't just about the looks, it directly protects our local economy as well as our own safety. So I urge the commission to not deny the amendment and protect the blocks that keep Cross Plains resilient and beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy Morton. Please state your name and address, Andy.
Thank you. My name is Andy Morton. I live at 6601 Piedmont Road in Madison, Wisconsin. And I'm representing the Black Earth Creek Watershed Association. And thank you for the opportunity to comment, as I said, on the proposed changes to the hillside ordinance. Along with other organizations and people, going to the Cross Plains has shown over the years that how we believe Black Earth Creek is a focal point for the Black Earth Creek watershed. Village of Cross Plains leaders have taken many important steps to enhance and protect our outstanding creek and watershed. The Black Earth Creek, as you know, is classified by the DNR as an outstanding resource water and Class 1 trout fishery. Moreover, the village has a major influence on the health of the stream, as likely the greatest density of trout spawning occurs in the village of Cross Plains within Xander Park. The decisions that the village of Cross Plains leaders make to protect the Black Earth Creek thus affect all our downstream watershed neighbors, including the villages of Black Earth and Mason, including significant economic contributions that anglers, paddlers, and other visitors have on all watershed communities. Black Earth Creek Watershed Association urges the village of Cross Plains to maintain its current ordinance because it includes protections from stormwater runoff and erosion on the hillside that would negatively impact Black Earth Creek. Although there have been advancements in stormwater regulations and management over the decades, steep slopes like those included in the ordinance's protection zone may pose greater challenges for controlling runoff and sedimentation that could make its way to the stream and potentially impact downstream watershed neighbors. The village has almost a 30-year legacy of protecting the scenic beauty of the hillsides on the edge of the driftless for both visitors and residents alike. And note the importance of this village asset to all who live and recreate in it. Finally, we applaud the strong commitment of the village over the years to the watershed and hope that this continues into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ryan Orland.
Thank you. I'm Brian Orland. I'm at 1771 Cornerstone Drive, Cross Plains. I'm a resident of Cross Plains and an architect and landscape architect with over 40 years career of scenery and visual protection. The Marchstone request addresses a complex issue. It's not easy for many people to comprehend complex contour diagrams with such density and complexity, nor the difficult definitions of hillsides. I've reviewed the documents in the Marchstone proposal. The only element of the proposal I really challenge is the change of the hill's top buffer from 150 feet to 50 feet. 50 feet of intervening vegetation is not generally considered adequate for reliable visual screening. Tree canopies are not uniformly dense, especially during winter, and individual trees in such a narrow buffer may be susceptible to decline or wind throw that compromises their effectiveness as a buffer. The U.S. Forest Service recommends over 100 feet buffers for complete screening. Given the uneven density of the existing forest, I would consider the existing 150 feet in the audience to be a wise choice. In this case, my observation is that enacting the proposed changes within the Marchstone development would primarily only affect visitors or residents of the Marchstone development. This is the visual side, not addressing the water quality side. However, if extended throughout Cross Plains, the change would potentially allow hilltop development to impinge on the views of all of those visiting or living in the Cross Plains area. It would serve the village better to allow Marchstone to seek a variance rather than to change the ordinance for the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are all of the half sheets I have.
All right, we have one more here.
Oh, perfect.
These are other-
You can give it to me after you speak. Yeah, that's fine.
Hi, I'm Amber Field. I live at 3012 Shady Circle. I moved here in 2019 and there were two reasons for that. The school district, the fact that I found a house with a great bluff with a bunch of trees behind my house. And I loved it. I loved the fact that it was conserved and I knew that the trees were always going to be there. I don't think we should make an ordinance change because I am 100% positive that the other developers that come after this one are going to decide to tear down trees to 50 feet, not 150. There's nothing stopping them. They're gonna make more money. We are changing this for the entire future. And I brought my 15-year-old who's also concerned about our future as well. So that's my main concern. There are a lot of really great things about the trees beyond their aesthetic beauty, which I really appreciate. One, I've already got lichens growing on the tree trunks and the rocks around my house. Lichens are pretty susceptible to pollution, which means we have pretty great air quality here in Cross Plains right now. I'm willing to bet that the amount of trees that we've preserved and that are on the top of our hills are a big reason for that. I don't want to get rid of that. And I don't want to see that good air quality go down. I'm also concerned about the erosion issues. I'm concerned about flooding, mudslides, the trees falling down because we have the erosion. Like we all bear the brunt of the cost of increased insurance, the emotional toll that it takes when our neighbors and ourselves go through these emergencies. And I don't want to see that increase. I might be reading this wrong, but it looks like the reason we're considering an ordinance change is because it would take longer for a variance to go through. Please don't let the developer's lack of planning become our emergency. Please consider the fact that we need to do this properly, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much they're going to push for it. Like this is a real gem and a really important part of our community, and we shouldn't just let it go. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope it's not gonna come up there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, come on up.
All right.
Thank you.
Need my name.
Yes,
Yep, name and address.
Okay. My name is Christy Duchato. My address is 2721 Valley Street. And first of all, I just want to say, I honor and thank the decision makers of our past community here, whoever made the choices to honor these bluffs and to not let them be developed. I just really want to honor and thank them first and foremost. You have a big decision. Whoever's going to make this decision, however this all works, honestly, this is my very first time ever coming to a meeting like this. We moved into this village 4 years ago for the Ice Age Trail. My husband took a job with the Ice Age Trail. Never heard of Cross Plains before in my life before moving here. Oh my gosh, this is a gem of a community. This is a gem of a place. The draw of Cross Plains is the bluff, the creeks, and the trails. It's what makes this town so special. And I guess what I want to say is like, we live in a very fast-paced world, all these quick ways to make more money, to, to do things really quickly. And that's influential. Money is influential. Let's get it not influential. But you guys, that's not always the best choice. So I'm sure, again, however this decision has to go, I agree with all these people that just want more time. Give it more time. I just heard about this in the last 3 days. And I'm sure most other community members, it sounds like it's kind of new information to them. It seems like this is happening really, really fast. But I invite you to view the future of Cross Plains and how they will feel 30 plus years from now if you preserve these bluffs and do not impact them more than what they are right now. Like, I just really invite you to view it from that perspective versus like from a negative perspective, like what the future holds here for our community members, for our children, for anyone that wants to move here. Because 30 plus years from now, when every other area around Madison is overdeveloped and we still have our small town charm and beautifully protected bluffs, you guys, that's the gem. It might not seem great right now or like, oh, we're missing out on money or whatever the situation is. But I promise you in the future, if you do it the right way, it will like impact us for the better. So protecting the future, protecting these bluffs. I guess I don't care about the millions of dollars. I'm sorry, they're priceless. They're the driftless area. They were untouched by glaciers, and I think they should be untouched by humans. So variance proposal, let's do the variance, let's give it some more time, let's do this Cross Plains, that is what I have to say. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I also have some.
Come on.
You need this little slip?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
just pass it on down.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Bill. That works too.
My name is Allison King. I live at 3012 Shady Circle. It's already been mentioned, but I just like to call extra attention to the fact that our forests are not only just beautiful, and our argument is not only aesthetic, and it certainly should not be monetary. Forests also provide numerous ecological benefits, such as erosion control, which was previously mentioned. They improve the air quality, and they act as a carbon sink, which mitigates climate change. And they're also critical habitat for so many endangered species, such as coyotes, red-tailed hawks, and bald eagles, which is especially important because one of the biggest draws of Cross Plains is our biodiversity and our healthy ecosystems and numerous biomes, like our rivers and our prairies and our forests. Right now, the plan is, once we get rid of the forest or reduce it greatly, they're going to build a golf course, which will dump pesticides and herbicides into our rivers and our soils. And also build a subdivision, which not only is inaccessible for people who really need housing, but also contributes to runoff, nutrient pollution, and lake eutrophication in the watershed, which was also previously mentioned. And filters can help, forests can help filter and mitigate these damages. And reducing our forests and destroying our forests is some of the worst circumspection I could imagine. And if we harm our forests like this by changing the ordinance, we as a community forfeit whatever right we have to environmental security in the future by destroying our natural assets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak?
Yeah.
Come on up.
I'm Randy Tibbetts. I live over on 2006 Lewis Street. 2001 we moved here, and I think like a lot of other people, it's the draw of the bluffs, the creek, sort of natural beauty kind of draws you. And there's an old saying, you can't win a game in an instant, but you can lose a game in an instant. I think if you move forward with this, decision, kind of waive these restrictions, I think you can lose. Thinking out 30 years from now, I think you can very much lose the game by making a bad decision. And so personally, I'm actually surprised there's not more people here. I think part of it's because I think maybe a lot of us didn't know about it. I think it was driving past Airport Road. I didn't really know this was happening until a few weeks ago. And I didn't know anything about the second phase that was planned. And I think development is development, and I understand that. But I really think it's important, projecting ahead, to kind of be very conservative. And I'd be very reluctant to waive these hillside development restrictions, for some short term. I think it's a big decision, and I just advise you to be very careful about waiving something like this. Again, projecting into the future, I think people could look back on this decision as this sort of a watershed moment for the
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak that's here? All right, we'll go to the people that
Can I actually take a question?
no, not right now. This is public comment.
We're carrying.
Okay. Oh, you want to speak?
Yeah.
Oh, come on up.
Yeah, please.
Sir, Ben Specker, 1703 Cornerstone Drive. I don't have anything new to add, but just in case it adds any strength to have additional voices, echoing the same message. My family moved here because of the beauty and natural resources here in Cross Plains, so we've really grown to love but that's something that the community has really advocated around is the beauty, the pride in Black Earth Creek and the bluffs that surround us. The fact that if these ordinance changes pass, not only does this apply to Marchstone, this applies village-wide, makes me significantly concerned that in addition to losing that natural beauty, we're going to lose some of that pride and that commitment to our natural resources. We're going to lose some stability of the bluffs that might enhance the risk of mudslides and the consequent cost of our insurance. And we might lose the water quality that makes Black Earth Creek such an amazing place and such a wonderful trout fishery that draws so many people to this community. So again, these are comments that have already been echoed numerous times, but wanted to add that I'm in firm agreement with that, what everyone said.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we'll go to people on the internet.
Oh, we have another.
Oh,
Never mind.
okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone online that wishes to make a public comment? You can raise your hand and I'll call on you.
I'd like to make a comment.
All right. Okay, go right ahead. Please state your name and address.
My name is Mark Maffett, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Southern Wisconsin chapter of Trout Unlimited. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. My address is 7318 Countrywood Lane. Southern Wisconsin chapter of Trout Unlimited respectfully requests that the Plan Commission reject an amendment to the Bluff Protection Ordinance that would decrease the setback for development from 150 feet to 50 feet. The ordinances were created after careful discussion to protect the beauty and ecological functions of the bluffs. The bluff in question is vital to the ongoing health of the Fesky Springs and Black Earth Creek. We do not believe there is any compelling reason to lessen the protection for such an important part of Cross Plains and the area's most important natural resources. Bluff and hillside ecosystems and springs are vulnerable to degradation. Any proposal to curtail their protection demands much more study and analysis than this amendment has received. Please recommend denial of this amendment. Respectfully, on behalf of Southern Wisconsin chapter of Trout Unlimited, Mark Maffett.
Thank you.
Does anyone else online wish to speak?
Hearing none. Do I have a motion to close? Oh,
If this gentleman wants to ask a question, we can ask it in public hearing. And we can answer it in discussion.
You can answer it in discussion.
well, he can come up and, yes, yes.
So, sir.
But we can't have a discussion.
Right.
So, sir, if you want to ask your question now in public hearing, go ahead and it can be answered during discussion.
Oh, perfect. I'm just wondering who's on those here. Jack Buggy, 3111 Melody Parkway. Thank you. I'd like to know who crafted the amendment. And what the potential effects of the current amendments will be if it's passed. So. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Could
you,
I ask
Kevin.
the question for the discussion potentially?
Name and address, please.
Jennifer Bounty, 2710 South Elmwood Circle East. I don't think this was a fast process. I'm not led to believe that. I think this has been in conversation for a while, maybe just some new information for some of the residents who didn't know about it. But I don't want to, I would like to know when this issue first came up and what was decided about how it would be addressed. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, do I have a motion to close public hearing?
I'll motion to close public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same. So moved. All right, we're gonna go to B. We think of what the best way to do this. We can do it as we did the last meeting where we take it by section. Or we can try to do the whole thing, but I'm afraid we're gonna get bounced back and forth because there's three clear areas. what is the preference of the group? If it's done it with one, but I think we should discuss each one individually. I think that would make it a lot easier.
Other question, do we not get a chance to speak?
Well, you can come, yes. Well, yeah, go ahead. You could have done it at public hearing, but go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff Hain, we are the developers. Honestly, I'm not gonna get into a rebuttal to a lot that's come up tonight. The unfortunate thing from our standpoint is a lot of this stuff has been covered over the last 2 years. The folks, didn't know about it, didn't choose to go to previous meetings, things like that. So, for us to talk about erosion control or Black Earth Creek and how we did 98% infiltration in phase 1, planning the same thing in phase 2, we have to meet DNR requirements, village requirements, then county requirements for erosion controls. We could talk about that, but we're not going. Tourism, that's the tourism we're gonna create versus trout days will be manyfold, but really, we're not gonna hear to argue, to beg. Where we're at, it's very simple. First of all, I'd like to say we would change our 50-foot to 100 feet, and we could live with that. And from our standpoint, that 50 feet of an ordinance change versus, in our opinion, the multiple advantages to the village, such as the water reservoir. Us contributing $5.1 million, the numerous dollars that will go to the park/pool. Tax base increase of $300 to $400 million. I don't know if things have changed, but previously, it was stated by a planning commission member that kids are needed in the school district. The numerous kids that will be now put into the school district. I talked about tourism and what it's going to do to the current businesses of Cross Plains. And again, I think that 57% contribution that we're going to make towards that water reservoir, it is very important, and I don't know if the folks behind us know that. And I guess I would just jump ahead, then I'm done. Talk about the email that Carly received. The last question that individual asked was, does the project completely go under if the 150 distance is maintained? And the answer is yes. And what we do then is we go to another developer.
Okay, here's one thing, folks. We are going to be adults and respectful. We may not all agree with each other in this room, but I'm not gonna have this where we're gonna turn it into what we've seen in other places, all right? We want to hear from everybody, but let's do it in a respectful, adult way, all right? Thank you.
And, if we do not proceed, we'll decide to hold the property until the village finds another site and builds a reservoir that we can tap into. Or probably more realistic, we talk to another major developer that could end up putting 1,500 homes on that land. So, does the village want all those pluses? Does the village want help for a water reservoir? Does the village want green space of a golf course? Does the village want reasonable density versus very high density? As this commission knows, we've been talking to you for 2.5 years. And since day one, we've requested that we're gonna need some help with trees and slopes. Well, we're here tonight to make that decision. All right, questions? Or I guess that's probably not appropriate.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so back to how would you like to do this?
Sections.
By sections, okay, let's do that first. I'm gonna let everybody speak and then I'll speak at the end of each section. So the first section is that we'll look at and talk about, and we're not doing individual votes, just so we know that. We'll just kind of see where we are and what we can work out. And then at the end, we'll do the differences. So, the first one is 83.125 sub R. It's up on, the screen there. That is, originally going from, 150 to 50. It sounds like it's going from 150 to 100. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking at, I kind of drew something right there on the board there to just kind of give you an idea. So we're really talking about where that 100-foot mark is to the 150 mark, that's 50 feet. So we're talking about basically 17 yards. That's what we're talking about right now on this part of it. So I'll open it up. Who would like to speak first?
I have a clarifying question.
Go ahead.
Clarify, help me remember from last time, that 100 feet is lot line, correct, not structure?
No,
What's the
it's
100
the
feet?
structure.
It's the structure.
The structure has to have a setback of 150 if I'm,
Yes.
It's.
Yeah.
Disturbance of land and vegetation. So.
Yeah.
That's what.
right. So it's
Okay.
generally they talk about improvement structure. All right, who else would like to speak? Bill?
Okay, so this is a big change to the ordinance, and when it actually comes to making this change, I'd like to see it as we're discussing it in parts, so we can reject or not reject one section over another section. So instead of saying yes or no to the entire thing, you know, bring it to this section, we approve or don't approve. Same thing with the other two sections. That would be my preference. And when we get to the.
We're advisory anyway, so
I understand, but
that I'm okay with that. It's just not how it's written on the agenda. But it's gotta come to the board anyways.
Totally understand.
Okay, so that's what we'll do.
Okay, so my comment on this is, I am not in favor of doing a village-wide ordinance change to even 100 feet. I want to keep the 100 feet, 150 feet as it were. However, I would be willing to consider a variance for Marchstone based on where they're putting their subdivision, where they're putting this property. I'd be willing to look at a variance for Marchstone, not do it as an ordinance throughout the entire for the village, because like our neighbors have said, this is gonna affect future developments down the road, right? And so as much as we can protect our hillside and our hilltop, I think we should do that. So that's just, so for this section, that's where I'm sitting, is I would prefer them to do a variance rather than change the ordinance.
All right, just so we get the legal terms, it would be a waiver versus a variance.
A waiver.
Just so
No,
we keep
that's
things,
fine. Yep.
so people understand what it would be. Okay? Kevin?
Can we get that explained, that difference explained for us and everybody else in the room, the difference between doing the amendment? I know it was in the document, but.
Sure.
So I have clarification on how a waiver would work differently.
Yeah.
You wanna take it?
Yeah, I can do
Okay.
my best. So this was brought up at the last plan commission meeting. And so the biggest difference between the two, is that the waiver would be considered when the final plat application comes through, which is, we're not anywhere near that, obviously, at this point. And it would be approved in conjunction with the final plat and would require a 3/4 affirmative recommendation. So that's a supermajority from Plan Commission. And then it would have to also get a supermajority vote from the village board. So this is difficult because they are also moving through the CARPC, or Capital Area Regional Planning Commission Urban Service Area Amendment process. So for them to wait until that final plat application would create a lot of uncertainty and a lot more time and money in order for that to transpire. So that's the difference. It would just create, additional hurdles.
Do we have an estimate on when that timing is, for that, when, what carbs you would have that?
Sonia, are you on the call?
Yes, ma'am. To answer that last question that I heard, just for the people in the room and on the call, I'm Sonia Kriesel, serve as village planner for the village. The CARP application is in progress. We don't have an identified submission date yet, pending additional kind of drafting and conversations such as the one happening tonight. But hypothetically, a CARP application, once submitted, can take about 3 months. So once the application is done, then it's about 3 months of review through the regional body, as well as the DNR, who plays a role in acting on that application.
All right. While Carly's correct with the process, there is a policy concern when you do waivers. If you do too many waivers, then you have a hard time enforcing the ordinance on anybody, because there's, the next person's up is gonna say, well, you gave a waiver for this person, you gave a waiver for this person, you gave a waiver for this person. Now, in the 7 years that I've been president, we've already done 2 waivers that this plan commission and the board, and you were on both of them. So, so we already have, that I know, 2 waivers of this ordinance. So you run into a higher risk of legal challenges if you give more waivers out. So the legal advice was it's better to change ordinances, which we have done. If you look at the history, look how many ordinance changes we did in the sign zoning. This group went through the whole zoning code and made changes, because you want your code to be what you want. You don't want to do waivers. Now, there's the one that to me was very critical, was the Scenic Valley one, where we put the storage units. We allowed that to happen because that was clearly within 150 feet, but it's buried 40 feet in the ground because it's the old quarry. So that to me was easy to defend. But when you do start others, when you allow people to not follow that, you get into trouble. That's why, for me, I'm not a big fan of waivers unless it's extremely unique, because of the concern that, okay, we're gonna give a waiver here. So the next developer, what's your reason not to do a waiver there if you've given it to this person? Unless you can clearly say why there's a difference. That's to me the key to it.
And that's a fair point. I get that. Then you're talking about the hillside ordinance waivers that the 2 times we've had.
I'm talking about this 150 one.
Yeah, but we also have other ordinances and we give waivers for them.
Oh, absolutely, we do.
We did for phase 1 of this subdivision.
Yes, we did.
So,
yeah, we did.
I guess I'm not entirely buying the waiver argument. If for hillside development or hillside zoning is one thing, but we give waivers all the time. For every,
Well, I wouldn't say all the time.
every development I've been here for, we give waivers.
Oh,
There might be 10 feet at the corner when you need 50 feet or 15 feet.
oh, I see.
And so we give waivers all the time.
Now that's conditional use when we change you're talking about the distance from 25, yeah. But I don't wanna get into the legal part of it, cause I'm not an attorney and I don't wanna get in trouble.
Thank you, that's helpful for the difference between the 2. We're talking 3 months,
Probably so, yep.
so that's all I wanted from that.
All right. Anybody else like to speak?
We know how many lots are affected with the change in it from 50 to 100. And that's if there's anything shown on the screen or not.
I don't think we have a map with the 100 on it.
There is a table.
If you do the table and do the math, it's, we lose 30.5 lots with 150 feet. You lose 13 lots with the 100 foot.
Those lots together in one section.
And now, if you look at that financial, I know most people behind me and in this room don't care. But if you look at that graphic right there, you go to you keep 150 feet. It's upwards of $8 million that I can just let you know, even the variance or the waiver we won't do it. Because we're not gonna spend 3 to 4 months without any guarantee. So we won't do that.
There's no, I guess I'm more concerned about.
knowing that there was 150 foot.
Okay, hey, again,
Question.
no, I know, but you can ask that outside. I don't wanna interrupt this
You're
meeting.
gonna let him stand up and speak.
Well, there was a no. There was a technical question. He's a subject matter expert on this development. We would all agree. All right, so he can speak. All right, we're not having a discussion. He asked a question. The subject matter expert answered it, and that's where we're gonna leave it.
He's a party to the issue, he's not a
Well-
subject matter expert.
Well, he certainly is.
So is.
Who would know? Okay, I'm not gonna get in a debate. All right,
You started.
I know I did.
Sorry.
Yeah, but all right,
Finish
so
it. Finish it.
I will when it's my turn. Go ahead.
My concern is, can we see that on the map where those 13 lots are? Are they bunched, are they 13 in a row, are they part of one section, are they scattered?
I would say they're somewhat scattered from what I've seen.
I would imagine the ones that get the closest to the street are the ones that, the 13 that would be the ones.
No, this buffer is still the 150 foot buffer that's shown.
Right.
Yep, and then the purple
That's
is
that's
the 50 foot,
Purple is 50 feet.
Purple's 50 feet.
correct?
Yeah.
How wide are?
The orange is the hillside, or is the slope.
Mhm.
Slope.
How wide is the right of way on the street?
That purple is 100 foot.
That's what, okay, that's what I was wondering. Because looking at the street right away, there's no way that's 50. So you said that purple is 100 feet?
Well, there's two, you have. two-
Okay, let's,
Sorry.
all right. All right, we're just gonna have to figure it out, because I wanna be fair to everybody. So,
I would agree, looking at it, that I don't think that can be the 50 foot buffer.
Okay.
Because of comparing it to the street right away, which I assume they look at 66 feet on those narrow streets.
I'm just gonna check the label.
That was one of my questions that I had from Midland. It says existing in the buffer hill. I questioned whether that looked bigger than 50, but it didn't straight look 150 feet. So that was one of the things I was trying to figure out.
So there's a scale in the upper right corner that indicates it's 100 feet.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. I mean, maybe help.
yeah, it would be, Brian, thank you. I think we can all agree.
Yes, village engineer.
So my thought was, maybe this is down the road, but is there a way we can build in the ordinance, those lot numbers to be exempt from the requirement? And because the concern, I think, is village-wide, we do it ordinance-wide, it affects everything in the village. But is there a way in crafting the ordinance that it can say these 13 lots only are exempt from the 150 or the 100 foot setback, or whatever the setback's gonna be? So we have a better, it's in ordinance, and the next developer can't come in and say, you know, we gave it 100 here. That's where I was going with it, so we know what 13 is a lot less than what we had before, so can we work with the developer to try to make sure that everybody wins?
Just to be clear, I think the difference is 17 lots between 150 and 100 feet. Do the math. Yeah.
All right,
I will speak because I haven't had a huge problem with this subdivision, knowing that what could be up there, and golf courses, not my favorite. I think I can live with it, with green space. Hard to live with the 150 foot change from in the ordinance to even 100 feet. We've told every other developer at this point, no. We worry about future developments. I mean, heck, even some of the public land that's up there too, some board in the future could decide that conservation and park zoning doesn't matter anymore and change it. So I guess they could change the ordinance then too. So I'm not a big fan of changing this to 150, the ordinance amendment to 100 feet. If there was a way to work in a variance that was reasonable, with some reasonable malleability, I would consider it.
Okay. How about, Seth?
I like the hearing that they're amenable to 100 feet. I agree that one question last time, I have less concerns about this specific development, the impact on the change than, how it will affect future developments. I echo those concerns from their residents tonight. And so in that sense, it's hard for me to want to do this as an ordinance, without knowing the impacts it's gonna have on other places. Looking back at some of the discussion from 1988 to when this ordinance was first adopted, there was a lot of thought then, apparently, that 150 feet was too much. So that's a balance between development, growth of the village versus protection, aesthetics, everything. I tend to think 100 feet is a better balance. Although we get there, generally in support of that, I do have concerns about this as an ordinance, but understand the other issues. If there's a way, if we decided to pursue this as a waiver, so we could do that in advance of waiting for the final plat, or waiting for 3 months to go through this. If that's the direction that the Plan Commission board decide to go, is there a way to give them that certainty? They're seeking. Be open to hearing ideas about that as possible.
Thank you. Judy?
Had we not annexed this in, the town of Verity, town of Cross Plains doesn't have this ordinance, and I went online trying to find if anybody has this ordinance, and I can't find it in Wisconsin. That is unique to Cross Plains, which I was here in '88 when they did it. And I was here for all those discussions, but I do feel like it is time that we could lighten it to at least the 100. I'm good with the 100 versus the 150 or even 50 I go to. I think it's time that we need to for this development.
Grant?
I'm the thing that gives me the most pause is the potential impact to future developments and the rest of the village. I have kids here. We moved here for a lot of the same reasons that were echoed tonight, and I worry about being surrounded by buildings and not by bluffs. And so I'm more comfortable with 100 than I am with 50. I'm really intrigued by the idea of like, is there some way we can proactively write in some sort of waiver or something? Because I also agree that, you know, within Marchstone itself, like if that's the view you want, okay, but like, but I would not be, I'm on the fence with 100. And the same thing that Kevin said, like the current plan that we have is a lot more amenable to me with green space potential for cross-country skiing areas, snowshoeing, that sort of thing, that all that kind of mixed use potential as well is a lot better than that entire area being developed with complete concrete. So I want to find a middle ground if possible.
Okay. Kevin, you wanted to respond?
I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. Who drafted the amendment? And when did the issue first come up? I think those were the questions that I heard out here. Hoping somebody can hear the answer.
Well, the attorneys and the planners were involved with that. I even think Brian gave some advice to it, but that was written by our attorney and cleared by the developer's attorney. So it was a combination of the experts putting that together once we've had a number of discussions. When this came up would be pretty much at the start of this development being brought to the village. I'm gonna speak a little bit if it's okay to answer that. I get on this one, as a village, we do as best a job as we can in trying to keep our residents informed on what's going on. You can easily put your email in and get every agenda of every one of our committees with the packets. We have, in this particular case, we have done newsletters. It's been in, I don't know how many newsletters. We end up, even my article part of the newsletter, because I know it's not a well-read literature. So I asked them to send it out on Facebook, the village Facebook. All right, this particular topic that we're talking about tonight, last month, I put it both on plan and board as a discussion only item. So everybody had opportunity to discuss it, look at it, have 30 days to ask questions, do follow-up, which a number of people did. At some point, it has to be where the residents also have to do it. I don't know what else to do besides going to each person's house with a flyer. You know, I don't know, I'm open to any other ideas, but we have tried to be as transparent as we can with all our committees, our boards. And if you have another idea, give it to us, but we do. No, not right now. Not right now, but I'm certainly interested, and you and I live near each other, so we can certainly have a chat. All right, so that's the part of getting information. I think we do a good job. I'm always for continuous improvement. So if there's a way or there's a mechanism that, and I'm not a tech guy, all right, I don't do social media, so I don't know about all this Facebook that's been going around. But anyways, we will try to do that. So I think we have gone as much as we can without somebody coming up with another great idea. I think we answered, these amendments are always drafted by planner, engineer, staff, and then it's always cleared through our village attorney. All right, we always do that. So that's, and this is no different process than we did before. So I want to make some comments, and what I'm going to do is pass a few things around to committees, because I think visuals sometimes are easier to see than we speak. So the first thing I'm going to pass around is real simple. It's the village. The blue line shows our boundaries. Everything in that blue line to the inside, this ordinance applies to. Everything outside the blue line, we have no say. And it has been mentioned a while, we are an island. All right, no town, no other village or city has this ordinance. We can only control what is in our limits. And right now, when you look at a map of the village limits, it's pretty much the top ridges. So then I said, okay, we can control that. But what are the townships? So I took an example, and I'm gonna pass out. I went to the town of Barry's comprehensive plan, and it was done in 2002. They're currently working on a new one, but you will see where they're having the only place in their whole township where they're putting residential, rural development is right on our northern border. Right on our northern border. So that's it. We have no control. And as you know, with the town of Barry, you don't have to go very far out Brewery Road, and you'll see houses right on top, right on the hillside. They don't have it, all right? So while we can do that, it really, what we should be trying to do is get all the other townships to join in, right? Because we're just a small area, and there's this Black Earth crystals for a lot of townships. So then it was brought up at the last meeting, everybody wants to know what future developments, so. 2 months ago in the town of Barry. They were brought a plan for a development right on our border. It's the Sundance. And I'm gonna pass that out because I have a concept of what that was designed, and that's right on it. And it's the whole hillside, the whole hilltop. All right, now, just so we don't start another big thing, when this comes, up to a place where we need to discuss it, I will try to convince the board to challenge that, and for a number of reasons. But I just want, what I'm trying to illustrate here is, even though we have this, and I think, and I agree, that this was really seen into the future from past boards and commissions to do this. But it is going on almost 40 years old, and there's nothing wrong with re-looking at ordinances and seeing if they continue to fit and meet the needs and what people want in this village. And that's what I think we have to really look at. And it was mentioned by some meetings, yes, we all would love for the village. When I came here in 90, there were 2,800 people. I had a rural view of the Brewery Creek Valley. Now I'm looking at 200 houses. So we all have had changes and will continue to have changes, but what we have to do is balance things. And the land that we're talking about, everybody knows it was PI property. It was part of their employee retirement thing. So they have a right to sell that and develop it. So then it's for us to say, what is the best development? 2007, there was a tract developer that wanted to develop that whole area, the whole thing, all houses. They were also going to help with pay for the reservoir. So that was certainly an incentive. The recession hit and they backed out of it. Now, I believe that homes and a golf course is better than all homes, a data center, a business park, or anything like that. We have to look at what is smart growth. And I think this development is smart growth. Now, I agree that there are certainly cons to any development that you do, but we have to weigh out what are the pros and cons and what are better. Now, when we talk about the 50 to 150, Seth talked about it. That wasn't an automatic decision where it just went like that. Yeah, we pick 150, that's it. There was a lot of discussion, and they went, as some people here agree with, went conservative. They went out there. So this group has to look at, is it time to review that and look at that? Do we need 150 or can we do 100? Can we do 100, see how this development works, and if it's not what we want, we certainly can change the ordinance again. This is not locked in concrete, right? So I know you guys are all chuckling on this, but from my perspective, I'd rather change an ordinance. It's easier to do than to go through that waiver, because even though I understand where everybody here is coming from on the waiver, I just don't know what our defense would be when the next development that people are worried about says, well, you gave them a waiver, why can't we get a waiver? What is the difference between that hilltop and the next one that, let's say, is up Brewery Road? Those are the things that I'm thinking about. All right. So it's not like once we change this, it can't change again. It certainly has that flexibility to do that. And again, I think we mentioned a golf course. They have said that we'd be able to develop cross-country ski and snowshoeing. Our whole economic development plan and our branding is outdoor activity. So certainly I would say golf, cross-country skiing and snowshoeing fits into that branding that we want to do. So I just wanted to throw that all out to put it in some perspective, that while we talk about the whole Black Earth Creek and everything else, it's bigger than just Cross Plains. And that doesn't mean we don't do anything. No, we should. But I would hope that Trout's Unlimited and Becqua and some other people would be pressuring the town of Cross Plains, the town of Barry, the town of Black Earth, the village of Black Earth to do something similar. Right? And that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, but I think we got to just put this all in perspective, and you can see, I don't know if we'd be successful in fighting that development, but right there, Brewery Road, all the way up that hillside on top, right now, it's looking to be houses. So I guess my feeling is, I could support doing 100 feet. I could support doing 100 feet. That's where I'm coming from with an ordinance change. Bill,
Just one comment.
yeah,
What we lose by passing this ordinance is we lose the ability to say stop and pause. Because once you have the changed in the ordinance from either to 100 feet or to 50 feet, whatever the case may be. And next developer will come in here and that's what they're going to assume from what our ordinance is, and they're gonna build right out to that limit. Right, so to say that we can change that ordinance again, and you're 100% right, we can. However, it becomes a little more difficult to tell the developer the area that you're in, we don't really want you going to 50 feet or, I mean, that's.
I'm just saying, if you look at the map right now, there really isn't another hillside that could be developed right now.
Well, we are gonna expand it. I mean, the village is gonna grow. It's gonna continue to grow.
But
East, north, west, it all has bluffs in every one of those directions.
oh, absolutely it does.
And south, you go south. right?
I agree with you on that, but to get the thing in Cross Plains, and you know this, to get it up to that hill is, you have to put in a reservoir. And as you know, we are upgrading, and the only reason we're doing this, the village is doing it, because we actually need reservoir space. We need that space. So if this development happens or not, at some point soon, we're gonna have to put another reservoir. We are over usage of our current, we're under capacity for our reservoir, so we have to do it. So the timing of them is right, but are we gonna build another reservoir with every development? Not a chance. That's, this whole project of the water system we're talking about, that's $9 million. I'm guessing we won't be doing that for another 20, 30 years. Engineer, would you support that? So that's what's gonna restrict the development unless we go on this where we're gonna allow septics and wells, which I am totally opposed to, but I know that goes against you. But that's the only way to get up past the water system we have right now. So that's gonna limit the village from going up on hilltops. We just can't get the water up there. So I'm comfortable that we are not gonna have this, all of a sudden, this urban sprawl of all these homes going up on these developments on every hill and site, because there's just no way we can put water up there. And you still have to annex it. And if you don't have people who are interested in being annexed, you're not going anywhere. Our biggest threat, if you want to know, and you kind of mentioned it, Kevin, is what happens in the towns. You're right. They could, the next property next to us, they could do all a rural development with septic and well and be on the hillside, be on the top, and there's really little we can do. We have a fight against Brewery Road because that's in our urban service area and that's got to count for something. But that's where we are. And if you looked at that map from the town of Barry, that's all hilltops and hillsides and a few farm fields that they have that all in. So, I mean, that's what we got to look at. And, with the waiver, I don't know, we can certainly talk with legal if you can do a waiver prior to the final plat, and then that guarantees something. I've never heard of that, but
Does
again,
Sonia know any? We see if Sonia knows anything
yeah,
about
you
that.
can ask her, but I don't know if she's wanting to give legal advice.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever seen that, Sonia? A waiver before final plat?
I think something we'd need to clarify with Paul as to that timing, but it is in the subdivision code
Got it.
procedures. Thanks.
Seth,
Possibly a question for the program. So, looking back at my notes, I just want to point out, there was one gentleman that made a note about the Forest Service suggesting at least a 100-foot buffer as more adequate for screening. And so I do like that, that seems to jive with that comment a little better. If we were to go with 100 feet with a more of an adequate buffer from that perspective. And then the question is, we're talking about the hilltop edge here, concerns about erosion. I don't know if in 30 seconds to a minute, can you summarize kind of what other policies, ordinances would help maybe mitigate concerns about erosion on the hilltops?
Sure.
Sorry, put you on the spot.
The village has its own erosion control ordinance, that governs ground disturbance. And from a hilltop, kind of that shoulder point, for whatever it's worth, both, 50 and 100 and then all still preserve that shoulder point. So what's being talked about specifically tonight doesn't really impact this part does not impact the erosion bit. There are some other parts of the ordinance coming up that would allow a few more additional uses on the hillside that would come into play when you're talking about erosion. Those activities would be subject to your erosion control ordinance and in construction controls, additional sediment fence, sediment bogs, and more ground cover requirements, those sorts of things. But for the hilltop interface, it's not really part of that discussion.
Thank you, that's confirms what I was.
Okay. Comments?
I was gonna say, it seems to me that we have this, without the reservoir issue, we probably wouldn't be here, right? That's what the developer is doing to the village, right? This is the thing that they're bringing, and then we are essentially trading that 57% of the reservoir cost for whatever we give up on this potential.
I disagree with that comment. I think Dane County has a housing crisis. I think everybody has obligation to help with it. I think we need development. We've been averaging about 30 permits a year. And that has been able where we have not had to go to referendum to increase taxes because new construction has covered increases on that. I think we have always developed. We had Scenic Valley, and now we have Creek Crossing, now we're doing Marchstone. So I think it's not just for the reservoir. Obviously, for them to get where they want to finish it, they need a reservoir up there. So we are gonna jump in on that and help with that. But I think this development just didn't pass because of the reservoir, because we hardly, we just finished the agreement not too long ago, so. We would probably, this land was probably gonna be developed. If it wasn't Marchstone, it would be somewhere else, someone else, right? They're trying to convert a hard asset into a liquid asset so they can pay their retirees.
So yeah, I'm still,
So
whether or not, I'm not saying this is fact, I'm saying this is my opinion.
okay,
That it seems to me that we are essentially trading those two things, and frankly, I'm not saying it's an entirely bad thing, I just feel like that's the fact, this is what we're gonna get from it, that and some of the other things the developer mentioned, park space, entry to school district, tourism, et cetera. But is, at what cost, I guess, and that's what I think we all have to ask ourselves, at what cost, and is that cost great enough or not, and I still think, my opinion is that, without, having visuals, I wish this gentleman over here could draw me up some great visuals, leaf off visuals of what that would look like. I would push us, because we just heard about it, to get to your answer earlier about when did this come up. It's been discussed with staff, it sounds like, for 2 years, but this particular issue didn't come to public until last plan meeting.
well, the actual formal language didn't, but we knew this was part of it from the very beginning. They can't put a golf course on without going on.
Who knew it was part of this?
what was that meeting, board and everything else was. Yeah, they had.
Did it come to, I'm asking Carly,
Yeah.
did it come to plan commission before that?
I don't think, it didn't specifically come up, but it came up in conversation that Hilltop was going to be an issue.
Okay, it
Yeah.
to be an issue, but we didn't know what.
We didn't know the specifics of that
So
at the time.
specific issue came to the public for the first time last month. Yes?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's what I wondered. I'm pushing for more time.
No, Michael, I can't have you speak because that would put us into a quorum for the board meeting and it wasn't noticed, so I'm sorry, I can't have you speak.
I have to make a point of order, chapter 83 applies to the Village of Cross Plains extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is 1.5 miles outside of our corporate limits. That has not been mentioned, but it does state that it does apply to the hilltop protections, does do influence that.
But we have no enforcement.
We-
Okay, I don't wanna get in that discussion. We'll have a board meeting next Monday and you can bring it up and we can have that discussion. All right.
I want to remind everybody that the Village of Cross Plains is a 1.5 mile extraterritorial
Yes.
extraterritorial jurisdiction for the record.
That is correct.
Is this the only change in this?
This is the only change in this section.
Yeah.
We have 2 other sections.
Do you need a formal motion?
Well, I'm trying to figure out where people are at that. Yeah, if you have one, go ahead.
I would make a motion to approve ordinance 83.125 parent R from 150 to 100 horizontal feet in depth.
Okay,
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Question?
Hold it, okay, I guess we're on, it'll be Seth and then Kevin.
So, I know we're discussing these in 2 parts, if we. The motion right now, if we vote this, are we officially? Let's just say we vote yes for this and we turn down the other 2, are we making a recommendation to the board? Just to change this section, or are we gonna come back and basically have to vote on the whole thing?
No, the way we're doing it now, these will be separate recommendations to the board.
Thank you.
Yep. Kevin?
I was just making that point too, which is, we're not voting, we're voting to recommend to the board may or may not agree or follow whatever we say.
Yep,
Correct.
correct. Right, anybody else for discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Commissioner Cree,
No.
Commissioner Hildebrand,
Yes.
Trustee Brochus,
Well, I think this does need to go to the board, so I'm gonna vote yes.
Seth? Oh, I'm sorry.
yep, Commissioner Johnson. I thought I was doing a roll call.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Thusius,
No.
Trustee Kettlebeater,
Yeah.
President Langphones.
Yes.
The motion.
All right. We will go to 83.18. That has to do with the side slopes.
Could you just repeat the motion that was just passed?
Motion to pass was going from 150 feet to 100 feet on the setback.
And it was just passed and recommended to the board. That's all.
Yep, it's recommendation. That's all this committee's doing tonight.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Carly. It's all yours.
Sure. Okay, so section 83.18. So under 2 here, this section would remain the same. So no subdivision or land division within the village corporate limits, and no subdivision within the village of Cross Plains extraterritorial jurisdiction area. Again, that 1.5 miles may be approved, which would result in a disturbance of land on areas defined here as hillsides or hilltop edges. Development on hilltops, if allowed, shall be restricted so as to minimize the disturbance of land and vegetation and preserve the viewshed year-round for areas of lower elevation. So the changes are the exceptions that shall be allowed. So the first 3 remain the same. Number 1, installation of public utilities as needed to provide public services to larger service areas. Number 2, habitat maintenance as approved by the village forester. Number 3, fencing as approved by the director of public facilities. And then 4, this is where some of the changes come in. This is an addition, construction of public stormwater management facilities and erosion control measurements. Number 5, the proposed change is land disturbance necessary for construction of public or private recreational amenities, including trails, overlooks, parks, and open space improvements. Number 6, for the exceptions would be construction of private roads, driveways, and pedestrian, bicycle, or cart paths. And number 7 would be development of golf course uses, including fairways, greens, tee boxes, bunkers, drainage features, driving ranges, bathrooms, and cart paths. So 8, 9, and 10 were brought into those first changes as well, just to kind of make that more concise.
All right, we'll open it up. Comments?
Number 4 should be measures, not measurements. You wanna go one by one?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, well, go ahead.
That's it for 4, that's it.
Okay,
All right, anybody else on that?
I have that noted.
Comments? All right, we'll go to 5 then.
Is there anything in here, maybe I'll look to Brian for this, that limits just how much? Because this just could be carte blanche in a 100-foot area.
What is being proposed is not have a limit, so if there was a desire to put a limit on, we would suggest something along the lines of item 2 or 3, where you designate some person or body that would approve that specific.
Because, I mean, essentially,
Or yeah, correct, yeah, if you wanted to limit, you should add that.
you could call everything a trail, everything an overlook, everything open space improvement, and just clear cut it. And say it's a savanna or a prairie.
There's certainly potential for that, guys. If you'd like to limit it, this would be the place to.
I'd like to put some limit on 5, by some governing body, I don't know what that is, planning commission or individual. As approved by somebody.
Should we do the village director of public facilities? It could be director of Parks and Rec.
Well, actually, planning should look at it.
Yeah, we have staff.
Up here, you have 2 staff members.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna give you kind of an example of this, because he mentioned clear cutting. We've allowed clear cutting. If you think about where we took the bluff, was it over Gills Way or Hillenbrand, where we cut all the cedar trees out to bring back the dry line prairie? So we went in and clear cut everything, so.
Oh, that was one, wasn't it?
Huh?
Wasn't that one?
We've done it in several places.
Yeah, yeah, but that's, I think, what you're talking about. You want someone to be.
Somebody to oversee it.
Yeah,
So director of public.
Or some area.
so,
Pretty much everything under there would be purview of parks, recreation, correct? More so than public facilities. I would suggest parks and recreation director, but
Yeah.
I agree with Kevin. I think it was a great comment that someone needs to oversee this for this and for probably multiple comments to reduce that ambiguity. Yes. I think yes, you can just come in and.
are we comfortable?
Sure, that's fine.
Parks and Rec?
I mean, it can sometimes be the director of public facilities, kind of depending. So I almost feel like maybe something more general,
Village staff.
Well, that's a little too general.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you gotta put one, you gotta make a call if it's Public Works or it's Parks and Rec. I don't think anybody else would fall into, it's one of those two.
Yeah, let's go with Parks and Rec.
All right, you comfortable with
So
that?
that'll be the recommendation.
Parks and Rec.
Director? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
No.
And do you want, just to be clear, do we want to change that where it says village forester and village director of public facilities up here? Or are we just saying
In
4 or
F.
5?
Do we really,
And
do we have a village forester?
He's the director of public facilities.
Okay.
Currently.
Well, if it's- Cause I don't think we have a job, that job.
Right.
So let's put a job that actually exists.
Okay, so we're gonna change this to director of public facilities. Okay.
And add it to number 5.
So number 5 is Parks and Rec. All right, any other comments on 5?
Okay, I had the same question.
Okay.
Okay,
And for the, I guess my.
Go ahead.
I asked this question the last, for the benefit of the people here, I asked about overlooks, that does not involve any structures. Based on what I heard last time, so we're not talking about some structure.
With the binoculars.
Big platform.
Would you want any clarification in
No,
there?
I
Okay,
think we're good.
okay, I'm just making sure. All right,
Okay, 6.
Village engineer, are we trying to assign somebody to these positions and, or not?
Well, some of them are, some don't need it.
Okay.
Some are just stating a fact.
This is something that. All locations for these would have to be on plans.
Right.
So. That's gonna be approved. In other sources, so I don't think this is one that necessarily. A specific approval by.
So it would be difficult.
I think it's
So that-
well defined by plans.
All right, anything else on 6? All right, let's go to 7.
My comment here is that bathrooms are structures. And I would like to see bathrooms removed. 7.
Do you consider porta potties bathrooms? Those are portable.
It says bathrooms, it doesn't say.
I know, but I'm asking you,
Anything.
porta potties would be acceptable, because a lot of golf courses have porta potties at certain spots, so people don't do it in the woods and other things like that. So I'm asking you if when bathrooms, I didn't nearly see it as necessarily a permanent structure.
It's the only thing on here that sticks up above ground any significant distance other than maybe a raised tee box or fairway or tee box or something, so. I would say, I would consider porta potty bathroom, in my opinion.
You would.
For this, in this text, context, yes.
I think we.
And as a golf private in the bathroom.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you can do it outside the 100 feet.
Oh.
I mean, you still got, you got a lot of places outside 100 feet.
No, this one is on the whole hillside and everything. This is not just the 100 feet part.
No, this
Unless is this just a,
the hillside and the hilltop.
right, so,
Hillside and hilltop.
yeah.
Well, so you're gonna put it on this?
So it's within 100 feet. No, it is what I think. It's either on the 20% slope or within the 100-foot buffer. That's what this all covers.
Yeah. So it's here or this to 100 feet.
Well,
All of this is,
So
this
this
whole
is,
list is on that, those two. are-
right, it's all this area. We're not gonna put the porta potty there, or maybe you are.
yeah, like I say, I have seen porta potties on golf course on hillside. They just
Again.
level it off, go ahead.
Friendly amendment, I just made eyes at Jeff and said, are you planning on putting a bathroom? I'm gonna have said no. And maybe a universal sign for removing.
Also just take it.
All right.
just take out bathrooms.
Anything else?
So I think this is similar to the previous comment. These are all things that are well defined by plans. Otherwise, I don't think it needs a specific approval from staff.
Okay,
It's not-
fair enough. All right. So do I have a motion to approve this section with the modifications that were discussed?
Make a motion to approve this section with the changes we discussed.
So the section would be 83.18.
I'll second.
All right. I have a motion and a second discussion. All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Cree,
Yes.
Commissioner Hildebrand,
Yes.
Trustee Brochus,
Yeah.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Thusius,
Yes.
Trustee Kettlebaiter,
Yes.
President Langfeld.
Yes. All right, we'll go to section 84.56 sub D.
So this one is the selective cutting. So sub D remains the same. I'll just read it. The one-time continuing or cumulative clearing, cutting, harvesting, or other destruction of trees, including by fire, where the extent of such activity is limited to an area or combined areas of less than or equal to 30% of the woodlands on the property, or up to 100% for developments approved prior to the effective date of this chapter. Selective cutting shall be limited to areas designated for such on-site plans, general development plans, specific implementation plans, plats, or certified survey maps. The destruction of trees beyond those designated in this section shall be considered clear cutting. So CE below. And so for purposes of calculating the 30% limitation, this is another list of exclusions that are being proposed. So one would be removal of trees rated poor or fair by a village approved ecologist as determined by the ecologist. Number two would be the removal of invasive. Oh, sure. Oh, go ahead. Stop there.
Great. Yeah, thank you. So let's have discussion on one. Comments? Kevin?
Stick with one first. Brian, have you looked at this? Have you do this?
I have.
Could you tell me how it relates to other communities?
I'm not familiar with another community that has the woodland protection overlay.
Okay.
Many communities that I work in, I've done this as well, do have things like, preventing oak removals or oak pruning between, the warmer months. Sometimes they have prohibitions on some of these invasive species, so it's illegal to have mustard around, that kind of thing. So, but the woodland preservation overlay is unique to my group.
Sonia, can you comment on that, please?
Yes, I've seen a few variations of this where I think it's one version is that limited cutting is allowed at like 10% with a conditional use approval up to 30%, similar to Cross Plains. There are other variations which do something similar with the blue text here that removes invasive or scrub type trees from the calculation. So I've definitely seen examples like this. There's still the 30% limitation for higher quality that would allow that for removal with a conditional use permit. So what's presented here, I have seen versions very similar to that. I wouldn't call this rare or unusual version.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Just generally speaking, and this is, I wouldn't mind seeing a cap on the additional parts, so we have up to 30% limitations for the following shall exclude A, but if you cumulatively add up all of those exclusions, it could be a pretty significant amount of trees, and I would like to see a cap on total removal after exclusions. One. Two, I feel like every ecologist is like every geologist, they know to agree, it's very subjective. I'm glad it's village approved ecologist, but there will be subjectivity on what is fair and what is poor. And even on the study that the developer did, Jensen, I think it was, I think that another ecologist would come in there and read that totally different. So I'd like to, I guess my big point is I'd like to see an overall cap, and maybe we can hit that at the end.
Okay, that sounds fair. Any other comments on this?
I tend to like this language mostly for especially for trees. Like they look at wildfires. That's because there's not good land management in those areas where, I mean, some areas you want wildfires, because that's for its growth. You don't want a wildfire in a subdivision. And so to cleanse that to a, to my point of view, you want to get rid of things that would cause fires. And I think getting rid of the 4 and maybe putting a cap on fair, again, it's going to be subjective, but getting rid of the 4 vegetation, I think, is important.
Anybody else?
I'm also just looking back at my notes from last meeting, and the total percentage they offered was 40% if they took out everything. So I just wanted to state that kind of for information. I'm wondering if there could be something like as by like a village proved, like, do we get second opinion, like two, like coming to consensus on what needs to be removed, but that then adds people to the equation. I don't know. Just an idea.
Anybody else? All right. Let's go to 2.
All right, number 2, removal of invasive or undesirable species, including but not limited to buckthorn, honeysuckle, box elder, mulberry, and similar low value or nuisance species as determined by a village approved ecologist.
Comments on this? Go ahead.
I don't know what low value compared to nuisance is, and nuisance sounds good to get rid of. I like to come maybe before, low value seems a little.
Yeah,
There.
well, I worry when they say low value, they're looking at the value of the tree for the timber market. And that changes, so I personally would remove that. I think you want invasives totally taken out. I mean, every week, that would be great. And then nuisance species, if it's determined, there could be some that are not considered invasive, but are nuisance. There's probably some vines that.
Yeah, nuisance, I don't have.
Yeah,
So you'd want to remove low value?
Get rid of low value.
Okay,
I don't know what that's defined on.
and then did you want to keep undesirable?
No, that's fine.
That's fine, okay, just low
But
value,
give it a
strike low value.
similar low value.
Okay.
And you can get rid of 4 and just say, and nuisance species as determined. Anybody else? Everybody okay with that? All right, number 3.
Removal of trees with a trunk diameter of less than 6 inches, measured at breast height. DBH.
You want me to take first on this one, Kevin, so you don't have to? I have a little concern with this, because are we gonna really take a veneer walnut tree because it's below 6 inches, or a white oak or something like that? I'm not really understanding why the 6-inch is there, because I think we want to keep quality 6-inch trees. And the trees that are not quality will fall under 1 or 2, I think, and get removed. So I'm not really understanding that aspect of it. Kevin, I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, ditto. Yeah, that was it. If you take 1 and 2 together, you're already getting rid of 4 or fair trees, if that stays, assuming it stays. And then all the other non-natives or invasives here, undesirable trees, are all that size. A 5-inch bur oak is a desirable tree, and so the answer is like counting it against 30%, which I assume is measured in tree canopy. I guess how do they measure 30%? Anybody have any idea how they measure 30%? The DBH, total DBH.
I think it's more canopy.
It is canopy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a 6-inch tree doesn't offer too much canopy. So Rarely, if it does, it's probably a desirable truth. So I would, I asked why this one was here, and I don't know why it's when you have the other two, so I would recommend removing
Striking.
this.
Anybody else have a concern with that or have a concern removing it, want to keep it?
Remove it.
Yeah, okay. Right, 4. I'll let someone else take lead now.
I'll read it. Removal of deceased, dying, damaged, or hazardous trees as determined by a village-approved ecologist or certified arborist. People seem okay with that one.
Anybody have concerns with this one?
Certified arborist also is village approved. Yeah, I'll try to read that. Village approved either.
So-
Is there a way we can strengthen them?
You want, what do you want?
I just want to
Make sure that this- they're-
Village approved applied to both ecologist and or a certified arborist, or is it just any certified arborist, even if it's not village approved?
So you'd want to add village-approved ecologist or village-approved certified arborist?
It's strong.
I mean,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
It's not. We try to reduce chances for ambiguity.
And this one's kind of important because this has cost the village quite a bit in our conservancy areas.
Well, remember, this is just during, one-time cutting.
Right.
There's not a lot of canopy on a diseased or dying tree either, and it does make good habitat. I don't mind people removing trees that are close to their home, I think that's smart, but that's different than what we're talking about here. This is one-time cutting. So if we have I wouldn't imagine that they'd go up there and cut a tree way from a building anyways, just cut it, right, a diseased and dying tree. I don't know why it's necessary, so maybe somebody can answer that question.
Well, I think it is because diseased trees, obviously. Other trees get it like oak will. You want to get rid of that. You don't want it to spread onto more trees, so I would like them to do it. And fallen trees, if it's across a bike trail or ski trail or something like that, I would want to remove it.
That is
prior-
longer though, this is one time.
I know, but we're gonna have them go through and take those out, so it's not our problem, yeah. That's how I'm reading it. They're gonna go in and take these out, this is all.
I'm fine.
So the only question. I'm good either way, but do we want our park and rec director, to oversee this? The reason I say that is because our previous park and rec director, that's what he did when we removed a bunch of trees in the village. He was kind of responsible for that.
Well, he was responsible for removing them, but I think he wasn't the one to identify them.
But he had Dane or somebody come in and.
Well, Dane,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
Dane
Dane.
was the one of the people, and I don't know if we used outside sourcing or not on that. But yeah, Mike was responsible for coordinating, getting that stuff taken care of, like when ash trees were all being
Right.
killed and stuff, and so
Mhm.
I think that's gonna be part of it, but generally that, as Kevin would say, this is before this even gets totally developed at that. I think that's more in the maintenance of this.
So you don't see a need for.
You could put it in, but I'm guessing
just
they're just
asking.
gonna, I'm thinking they're just gonna go with what the expert says.
Yeah.
Can't your park and rec director be your village approved ecologist? You're not, right?
Sure. Yeah, they
Yeah,
could be.
Dane would have that skill.
But yeah,
I know, but he had that skill, so.
Right, he did that.
To be approved. Former Dane to do it.
Mhm.
yeah, if we have someone in-house that can do it, absolutely.
So you could do,
But that, I would have guessed the village would approve the person for doing it. So
yeah, so they could just be the ecologist
Yeah,
for us.
That's fine.
yeah, I think we're solid there.
All right. Anything else on 4? Otherwise, we got
Yeah,
one left. Removal of vegetation within areas necessary for grading, utilities, infrastructure, or approved development activity, including but not limited to public or private road rights of way, utility corridors and easements, driveways and access routes, and public sidewalks and walking trails.
That,
This is, saving the best for us, this is the one that gives me the most heartburn. It's the improved development activity, including but not limited to, I guess I'm just, you know, not suggesting that this is what they're planning to do. Just playing devil's advocate here. An approved development activity would be essentially a golf course, and if the design of the golf course calls for shaping the fairway a certain way and having some mounding here, it could be, an argument could be made that you need to grade, they want to grade the fairway or something a certain way, and there's a bunch of trees there. They can cut them down without it applying towards the 30%. The things that are listed here are certainly not that, it's more hard infrastructure. And so I just don't know if there's a way, if that's not the intent, if we can just strengthen this. Because that's just the grading for approved development activity, not limited to. Just gives me a little bit of concern that this could be broadened easily on some of the example system. I don't have a problem with the system.
well, definitely.
Do you think I want to say something?
I don't know. I think we're thinking the same thing, but maybe not.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know, I don't know what you're. So this one gets me because it just feels like it says, with the exception of development. Like none of the development counts, the roadways don't count, rights of way don't count, utility quarters, driveway, access route, what's an access route, is that, I assume it's a roadway, public sidewalks, walking trails. Basically, everything we saw on that, or not everything, everything but the lots, the home lots. Wouldn't qualify for forest removal, for woodland removal. So if somebody can tell me I'm wrong and explain it to me differently, great, but that's the way it's.
And I'm thinking the same way. Yeah, I don't quite understand. I would think the roads and driveways and sidewalks, walking trails, depending on where that is, and easements, utility corridor easements, I could, but again, where that is, if it's in the roadway, then it should count, but if we're doing a walking trail, let's say Ice Age does a trail through there, I'm not sure the developer, that should count against them. You know, if we have an access route that we want somewhere for the village, it's us, not part of their development, I don't think that should count. So I think there's some of these, but I agree with you, I think it's extremely broad, and if I'm reading this, the only thing that doesn't count is the golf course and the lots. So, and then if you read Seth's interpretation, even the golf course might not count, so I agree with 5. That has, but I'm also trying to get the definition of vegetation. That's kind of a change, if vegetation isn't trees, then it really doesn't matter, because that's what this is, removal of vegetation. Are they changing this and saying vegetation is also including trees? Because I think generally this has to do with trees and not overall vegetation. So we're kind of mixing terms within this section, so I'm not really, if it's just vegetation, and I'm thinking plants and grass, then I'm okay with it because it doesn't apply to the 30% anyways. But if the vegetation includes trees now, then I do have some concerns.
Yeah,
Seth?
wait, it's all under the selective cutting specifically trees, so.
Right.
I mean, we can. Probably to change the word vegetation to trees, is everything else. Paragraph above it, this is the list of exclude from that, everything specific to trees.
Right, but everything else has trees in it for some reason, this wants the vegetation.
But this. Section.
It's under the
specifically-
section that's specifically on trees. Destruction.
I know, but if
Trees.
it's trees, then let's just count it as trees, let's just say instead of vegetation, put down trees.
Right, it's, does this count, should any or all of this count towards the 30%? The question I had then, or
guess Sonia, and she said she's seen this in other jurisdictions. Is this a typical set of exclusions towards such a percentage? And that's in that.
Sonia, did you get that question?
Yeah, number 4, that's pretty typical. Number 3, typical. Number 2, typical. I don't remember what 1 is, and it's just off the screen that I'm looking at. Yeah, that's not unusual. Number 5, I agree, is fairly broad and could use a little bit of refinement. Vegetation in general is not regulated by a woodland overlay. So if the intent is not to regulate vegetation, then that could at least be clarified to apply to trees.
So I guess here's my view is if it stays as vegetation, I have no problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
If it really is meant to be trees, then I do have some concerns.
Are there specific parts that you think should count towards the 30% that this would otherwise exclude?
I think the roadways and the driveways and the public sidewalks. Walking trip, what's that?
You're saying should count as part of the 30?
Yeah, yeah. Access routes, I guess it depends what the access is to. Walking trails, I guess it depends where they're located. In utility corridors and easements, most of the ones I'm thinking would be under the road, but I can see an easement, maybe we do, so we can build a trail at some point, and then that shouldn't count.
What's the issue of leaving it as it is, vegetation?
Well, no, I have no problem if it's vegetation, but I don't want all of a sudden, because we're under the ordinance of trees, that someone says, no, vegetation, trees are vegetation. You know, if that's the case, then we have to define what the vegetation is, which is grass and plants. If we do that, I'm fine with it.
Why don't we just change vegetation to plants and grass?
We can do that too, but I'm not sure why this would be under this section.
If it's just plants and grass, it should be removed.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is. It's trees, so it's removal of trees within an area necessary for grading utilities infrastructure. I think we need to approve development activities. I think we need to talk about that a little bit. And I think we need to redefine some of these bullets.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we'll change the wording to trees.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want
I think I want to just point out, I think some of it is the incentivizing the development, not just this development, but every future development, by the way. To I think easements and corridors and try to put those in areas where there's no trees. Right, because there's a part of this property that has no trees. And incentivizing them to put those in those areas and then put the homes in those tree lots, which seems more desirable anyways, but in the end, we'll keep more trees. So, so for that, I would say anything that is required for like, well, certainly required by us for development or required for development, like public roads and right of ways. I think that should count. I could live without easement corridors, or utility corridors and easement corridors. I could live with that, 'cause I think it's a small number. Driveways and access routes. I'm not sure what access routes means. Maybe somebody can help me on that.
would be like if we needed an access road to get to the reservoir. Or we needed an access road to get to not a lift station, but a booster station.
So in those situations where it benefits us, the village,
Yeah.
and not this road's benefits. I'd be okay with that. We limited it to utility corridors, easements. Maybe driveways and access routes, but the sidewalks that we require they put in there in the roads, I would say, don't count. I'm sorry, do count.
Yeah.
So utility corridor, easements, driveways, sidewalks. And walking trails.
No.
Leave 2 and
So the ones that would be exempt
Mm-hmm.
would be the utility corridors and easement,
Mm-hmm.
access routes, and then public sidewalks. Is that correct? Did I capture it right?
Yeah, I think driveways was a.
Well, driveways to a house, that's what I'm thinking. That should count, shouldn't it?
Well, you got driveway to the golf course. Or
Well-
the
Why wouldn't that count?
I think you should.
Okay, yeah, so, okay, I'm just trying to,
Driving more than just to the house.
well, yeah, but,
Right, that's all.
yeah. So does that, Carly?
Yep, I have utility corridor easements, access routes, and sidewalks.
No, walking trails.
Okay.
So public
That-
sidewalks, public, road and right of ways. And driveways all count towards the 30%.
Okay.
The other ones are exempt.
Okay.
Everybody comfortable with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Seth, no, what do you want?
We have an idea of what kind of, what ball order of magnitude these kinds of things would have for this particular development. If we excluded those, like, and they're gonna count as that already just from road right of way and driveways, is that already big? Would that already get to 30% of the woodlands, however it's calculated? I guess I would like to understand. It's great to talk about, oh yeah, that should count or shouldn't count, but what's the impact? On,
Impacting adding to the 30%?
well, if these count towards 30%. Right, if the suggestion is that these should count towards 30%. What, do we have any idea of? How much this would put us towards 30% for this particular development?
No, I
To
don't.
me,
We're trying to figure out.
Yeah,
well, they've already got a plan. It seemed to be-
no, when
They'd have to do these calculations based on what we approved.
right.
I'd like to know impact.
I think that's gonna take time.
I agree.
To talk to their engineers. to figure it out.
Exactly.
The biggest one of the ones that you reckon that you want to suggest removing that gives me heartburn is the road.
You don't think that should count?
It's a pretty important piece of infrastructure for any sort of development.
Yeah.
As a requirement.
So you think?
Again, that's why I asked, this is like a common thing in. They couldn't otherwise say that this area is suitable for development. We gotta have a way to get to it. Again, that's why I want to know, maybe that only adds, puts 2% towards, I don't know. But that,
You're afraid if we leave that in there, they'll go over their 30% too fast?
well, that's why I don't know what. I
I
don't know what ballpark we're in right now.
Well, I know, but I guess my feeling is, this is gonna be reversed what people probably think is, we have that 30% is what we're letting them. That's what they need to work their plan with that. We've given them a number of exemptions that doesn't count against. I'm comfortable with that. Part of a development is roads and sidewalks and. Yeah, I think you should count the trees that are taken out, for that.
Honestly, I don't know if I should count it for the fact that they have to have the roads, like Seth says, we can't do a development without the roads. So is it 30 for the lots and then not counting the roads? Yeah, I
In
don't.
each subdivision, the developer comes in, you get a Sundance, which is flat and very few trees, not an issue. This is a very unique with the trees and the roads that we're trying to work with. And I think you start counting all the things just to get there and to say against the 30%. Kind of double-edged sword.
Well, I don't know, I think if I remember, they were at 40 to 41%. We allow 30%. We've given quite a few. As someone who has walked that property a couple of times. Number two is gonna take a lot of it. There is a ton of buckthorn and honeysuckle up in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and number one is gonna take even more.
Yeah.
I don't remember the numbers. I was trying to look it up real quick. Does anybody remember the percentage of poor and fair? And there was no excellent and there was
Yeah,
only
it's
small
very
percentage of
high.
good. So I think it was like 30-something% of good and the rest is poor and fair. So only 70% of the woodlands up there are, even have a chance of getting counted to store. So don't give me that realtor.
Yeah,
One big chunk away. So,
That, what you said, the 40 whatever percentage, that's the question I was asking.
Yeah.
Part of, so
I-
that
well, that was-
based
and again, I
on
went on my memory, it was 41%.
of what current
Yeah,
woodlands would be impacted.
I, I think. I think we'll be fine.
Any other changes to number 5?
I think we have them all.
Mhm.
Is it possible for you to repeat the changes before?
Yeah, absolutely. So for number 5, it'll be removal of trees within areas necessary for grading, utilities, infrastructure, or approved development activity, including but not limited to. It'll be public. Can someone repeat it again to me? Because I have just
Public and
broken
private
notes.
roadways.
Yeah, public and private roadways, utility corridors and easements.
No,
No.
no, that stays. Driveways is removed.
So you're recommending removing the first.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
what
can-
you guys are
Yes.
suggesting.
Recommended removing the first bullet entirely,
Okay.
Yeah.
leaving the second bullet. Changing the third bullet to just access routes or routes.
Right, get rid of the second bullet.
And
People were.
And bullet 4, you get rid of the
Get rid
public
of
sidewalk.
keeping to.
Yep. Getting rid of driveways.
Yep, and getting rid of public sidewalk.
Correct.
So as you're suggesting, the only things that would remain are utility corridors and easements and access routes?
And walking trails.
I'm gonna go for it, but only because I'm gonna trust you that this is gonna work.
Okay. We will, I'm sure we'll be updated on Monday.
Okay.
All right.
Right, since we're voting
Motion.
on all these, I was asking if you could read all at once.
We still make comments on 5.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we haven't really addressed my initial comment. About, we just kind of argued about the 4 bullets that were listed, but this again is there a way we would like to strengthen this further or improve development activity? It's just including but not limited to. These are just examples of things, not just a lot of.
So what would be your suggestion?
I guess I'm wondering if this could be interpreted for like the example I gave, where we're approving, but if we approve this development, whether golf course, housing, whatever it is, and there's a plan that shows that we're going to grade this area for landscaping, whatever it is, to golf course. You could argue by reading that as right now, so well, we have to grade this to get the design that we want, so that none of that's gonna count. I don't know if that's what we want. You're saying we want more stuff to count. And then
So would you be comfortable just removing it then?
no, I don't know if it's the order approved development activity, but not limited to. Right, again, that just.
What if we just got rid of including, but not limited to? Because we've been very specific on the bullet points,
Yeah, we are.
right? So if we get rid of the not limited to, then we're gonna just stick to the bullet.
Okay, well, are there other things that should be on that list? We're trying to make it a comprehensive list.
Right.
But this would be, again, that's not our responsibility, right? It's the developer's responsibility that's asking for us to make exceptions and changes to the ordinance. So it's really their responsibility if there's more points to do it. And see, to me, when it says approved development activity, I would think one of the things that would go into the approval process would be on what they're going to do. How many trees are they gonna remove, or Are they gonna grade this or that? I mean, to me, that, when it says approved development activity, that should be covered in that approval process. That's how I'm reading it. So that example that, we would know ahead of time if they're gonna put a fairway here. We would know this would be how many trees or what percent of that is before it gets approved. Cause it has to follow the ordinance. So I don't have a problem removing the including but limited, and if there's something that needs to be added, they can do it before Monday, or they can come back another time, but it is pretty detailed, so I think we should keep it that way.
I think you can leave the word including, just get rid of but not limited to.
Oh, fine,
Yeah.
okay. I'm comfortable. Everybody comfortable with that? Seth, is that kind of? So what do you want to give us something? You can't just keep saying no without giving us an example.
Probably can't ask a question of developers, right?
Let's not go down that road.
Yeah.
But you can state it and then they
Yeah.
know to come back.
Because if this is not meant to, if the intent is not for, an example like I gave,
Yeah,
where grading of a golf course, I have an interest in golf course architecture, I would, like. You can be a Pete guy and come in and move mountains of earth. And have to cut down all the trees on the site, to make the golf course exactly how you want it. And someone could interpret that and say, none of that. Removing all those trees won't count towards their 30% because it's an approved development.
well, that's what I'm saying. Why don't we remove it? Then that concern is totally gone. That is totally gone and we just list the bullet points. I mean, that approved development activity, to me, can go either way. It's either approved by, the board and the plan commission, or we just eliminate it and say, hey, this doesn't count. If that seems to be your concern, that it's gonna get expanded.
It's overly ambiguous.
Okay, then let's remove it, or you tighten it up.
Should be there. I got rid of, if we're trying to make it a comprehensive list.
This is the list that was given to us.
So I found the woodland report that you sent us. So for the total acreage, the proposed tree removal acres is 125.7 acres. Remaining uncut 190.9, and then restoring back 145.
So say, what'd you say, how many remain, say those numbers again?
So total acres 316.6. Proposed removal is 125.7, which is about 39.7%. Remaining uncut is 190.9, and then restorable acres is 145.3.
And that was presuming this went through, do we know that?
No, that was done before
This is just like what,
So they're gonna be under, what I would like to do before we end this is cap it at 40, no matter what. So I'm gonna make that recommendation, so they all know. They do well with under that, and that's before they get this. So they're proposing 39%. As is, that's gonna come down some portion after we would. Is that report also has the percentage of poor and fair, please?
it doesn't have percentage, but it just has the acres.
Yeah, what an egg.
Proposed removal of poor is 14.1 acres, fair 51.2, good 60.4.
So I'm just counting the fair and poor at 65 acres of fair and poor. Coming off the top of 125. So they just, that's 60, that's more than 50 some percent that. So they're down to like 19.
But they're gonna restore 40.
Well, forget the restoring for that. That's not involved in this discussion. But we're down from 39%. If you take off half those acres in fair and poor, number one, we're down to 19%. All these rest of these are moot for this discussion. Assuming they're in the right places, of course, I guess I don't know that, but.
Yeah,
But for numbers wise, they're we're at a we're at a low number
Mhm.
on those two. If we don't count.
So let's get back to this one here. Just take it out, make everybody then feel good. Then no one can stretch it to something else.
Taking out just what's highlighted.
Yeah,
Wait.
but limited to.
You're leaving five.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm trying to get it tighter, so it's more detailed, and everybody can read this and understand what we're talking about.
Okay.
So
So it'll be, I'm just gonna read it. Removal of trees within areas necessary for grading utilities, infrastructure, including,
Yep.
and then the list.
We're good with that? Seth, well, you brought it up, I'm trying to find some common ground here, bud.
I can't get the information I need. I'm done.
All right, let's.
Okay, and we wanted to read through
Yeah,
1
read
through
the other
5.
ones, Joe.
All right, so for number 1, I didn't have any changes, but this is where Kevin had mentioned the cap. Is this where you would want to put a cap?
I would like to put a cap at, forget everything else, 40%. So right now, there's a one-time harvest of 30%, these things don't count. But even if they did count, 40%.
So it would be in the first sentence.
Okay.
It'd be for calculating the 30%. You leave that there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then you would, with the limitations, but then it would say can exceed 40%.
Okay.
Is that right?
That's my
Yeah.
question, I'm looking for help maybe from our
Yeah.
engineers on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then on to number 1.
Yeah.
Are we still comfortable with that as written?
Yeah.
For number 1, okay.
Yeah.
2, I had strike similar low value, so it would be removal of invasive or undesirable species, including but not limited to buckthorn, honeysuckle, box elder, mulberry, and similar, and nuisance species as determined by village approved ecologists. Okay, excellent. Number 3, the recommendation was to remove it completely. Number 4, the recommendation was to add village approved certified arborist as well. So right here, village approved ecologist or village approved certified arborist. Okay. And then number 5 was the one we just discussed. So it would be removal of trees within areas necessary for grading utilities infrastructure, including utility corridors, easements, and walking trails.
Access roads.
And access.
And access roads.
Yeah.
Anything missing?
Well,
Okay.
all right, do we have a motion?
I will make a motion, to move this on section 84.56 of D. With the changes that we discussed, that Carly has gone over and we talked about.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right,
You got it? Did you get it?
I
Okay. Okay.
have a motion and a second discussion. All right, we'll call vote, please.
Absolutely. Scroll to the top here. My list of everybody is. Commissioner Cree.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hillebrand.
Yes.
Trustee Brochus.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Thusius.
Yes.
Trustee Kettlebeater.
Yes.
President Langfeld.
Yes, so the last one that's in the motion, but we didn't have anything on, and I looked at it, is 84.95 sub D. And that basically summarizes and refers back to these. So it's in the motion, were there any changes that you were looking to do besides modifying it so it still states the same as these other 3?
I think that it just states the same.
Yeah, we don't, it's not.
It's not even on here at all.
No,
Okay.
it was in the motion and I looked at it, it's 84.95 sub 2. Sub 8, D, I mean.
So G, so D is what's written on the document.
Yeah, I'm not tracking from G.
Okay, if you look at, we've done 3 sections. There's a 4th section. Right?
Oh. In two B.
There's actually 5 listed.
Well, okay, but they're both in
Okay.
they're both in section 84.95.
Sub C and.
Right, but it's another section. We didn't have anything on there, so I wasn't sure what that is, but when you read it, it does refer to the sections we've just worked on.
It wasn't in the motion, it was in the.
Yeah,
It was in the agenda.
we
I'm just
do a
thinking if that was the one that needed to be
what I wanna make sure is that if we need to discuss it, we discuss it. I don't think we do, I think it would automatically change with the sections that we already have.
Yeah.
But can you just check on that then?
Yeah.
Cause it is
I'm
on
gonna
here,
see.
but
Hey, Sonia, are you still on? Maybe. Maybe
Yes,
not.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, so we were just wondering about 84.95 and 84 or sub C, and then 84.95 sub D. Do those need to be acted upon?
If you give me a minute, I might be able to look up previous drafts.
Unless Brian has it.
Right.
I think. Yes. In that section and chapter covers the permitted uses that are allowed in the hillside / hilltop overlay zoning district. And it does some similar description of the conditional uses that are there, the permitted uses, by right that are there.
But the language change would be what we passed here to make sure it's in that section, so we don't have conflict. I didn't see anything in there that would be separate from what we've already discussed.
Yeah, they would work together.
That's how I read it.
I'm not an attorney, but I say.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney either, it just seemed
None of
to
us are.
me they were referring to these sections, so you
Yeah,
take what's in the
that's back to
section.
83, which would change.
Right.
Our attorney's gonna go through this.
Absolutely, I just wanna make sure if there's something.
Right, no, I get it.
Right, that you
Yeah.
need.
When I
yeah,
read it,
tonight.
it seemed like what we covered just needs to be taken and incorporated in this section. So there isn't conflict. We don't have to take action. I just wanna make sure, because if it goes to board, I just wanna make sure you guys didn't think we were hiding something
Right.
on you that.
This chapter, for whatever it's worth, does call out that a detailed site plan is submitted by the landowner for any proposed development activity. 15 hillside, outside hillside edge areas, and the location of any disturbance, tree cutting. So
Yeah.
that kind of circles back around some of the concern that you've been talking about.
All right, so we have a staff meeting on Wednesday. We'll bring that up to our attorney and just see what needs to happen. So
I'll
the
make all these
board may
changes.
have to take some action on Monday on this.
Mhm.
Well,
Sonia, did you find anything?
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with what I think I heard everyone in the room there saying that, section C and D currently reference chapter 83. So it doesn't look to me like there is any conflict. And in fact, the requirement for the site plan actually goes into a little bit additional protective detail, I think. So I don't believe any changes to the ordinance text are actually required, but they do reference and relate back to chapter 83.
Okay.
okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thanks, Sonia.
You're welcome.
So,
So the planning commission has to take no action on that?
no, and I'm not sure the board needs to either, but we'll talk with legal on that. I think just automatically, you want them to be saying the same thing, so there is a conflict. All right. We voted already, right, or did we not?
We're done.
Okay,
Yep, we voted.
All right, so we're at adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.